we can build that by working on the kindness for ourselves, working on kindness to others, but then it just becomes a second nature and we get to share it. And then the next people kind of get that from us and then they share it and we can have this really lovely effect in the world if we're out there sharing our loveliness. But it does have to come from this space of opening up, which is what our heart stuff does. From a physical point of view though, it also opens up this chest space. So if you find that you are tight and shoulders come in, especially if you spend a lot of time on computers and things, I find we get that rounded back, then doing heart openers are literally stretching out. Like these pec muscles here actually attach to this arm here. So opening them up like this actually really releases all of that. We can pull shoulders down as well, so releasing some of the tension that we hold there. Lots of fun stuff to get out of our session this morning. So let's start grounding in any comfortable position. So if you, wherever you are now, if you want to stay with legs long, if you want to be kneeling, laying down, cross-legged, any of those. If you feel like doing something a little bit different today, or if you feel like laying down, that's a good one too. So remember, grounding is just that idea that we get ourselves to this point, knowing that we're in the studio and that we can let go of all the other stuff and start our movement today. So nice deep breath in as we first open up that chest space. And a long, slow breath out as you allow your body to sink down. You might like to close your eyes now or have them gently open in an unmoving spot as we do a few more of those deep breaths. Inhaling to take in that nourishment and support into our bodies, feeling it move all the way down to that heart space. And then as you breathe out, letting go of any of the things that would stop you from cultivating kindness this morning. So any criticisms, regrets, self-doubts, we leave them with the breath. Before doing one more deep breath in. Long, slow release breath out. And come back into a more natural breathing rhythm. Just allowing your body to open and close rhythmically. As you watch with a sense of curiosity about how you're breathing now. And then notice where your thoughts are going this morning. Perhaps it's surprising you as to where your thoughts first went to. Or maybe there is something on your mind that keeps coming up. Try to watch those thoughts with detachment. I'm having that thought again. There I go thinking about. And then come back to watching your breath gently moving in and out of your body. If you notice it's hard today, then give yourself that compassion. Meditation is hard. We're still learning. into some chest breathing. So if you picture your collarbones in your mind, as we breathe in, we're trying to expand that space. So it's like the top of your chest, which then as you inhale, allows your shoulders to pull back and down, creating this lovely space in that chest. And then on the out breath, watch that retraction as your chest closes back in again. And you watch how your body responds to the out breath. And then we go again, inhaling, opening up the chest. And then exhaling, close it back in again. And as you build the coordination, that mind-body connection, we try to go longer, deeper, smoother, any of the ways to make it a better experience. If you lose concentration, or your mind gets lost on an adventure, just stop the practice and start again when you're ready. And then we finish the rounds with the biggest, deepest in, and then longest, gentlest release out. Before releasing physically, energetically from the practice. Start to come out and stretch. Does anybody find that a bit difficult to breathe up high? Do you feel like there's a bit of a restriction and it almost feels like it gets almost to here? Or did you find that quite open? Yeah. Actually, and I hope it doesn't make you feel weird, but I do watch people's breathing when I'm here because it's really interesting to watch. Sometimes I can see the energy like stop here. Like you can see this big expansion and then just a hold, like there's a restriction or something. And then you can feel, like sometimes if people keep going, you can feel the release. And actually is cool to watch with practice. You can expand that, which is obviously really good for lung capacity and stuff as well. So I'm glad, it's interesting that as you practice, you can already notice that it changes. Yeah, cool. All right, how do we feel about being on our knees? Yeah. So it is a supported one though. So, well, you have lots of options, but if you have the blocks, and I find if they're long ways, it supports your bum a bit more. And then we have the knees together, but we find a way to sit on. Now, if you like support under your knees though, if they get sore, feel free to pop a blanket underneath. Or you can have a bolster in between. If this is super easy and you do want a little bit of a challenge, you could reduce your blocks to none even. You could even be here in complete. So lots of options. Sometimes it's nice to start gentle, knowing that we're building anyway. And then we're going to come into diamond arms. How does that feel? And how? So then I'd get your body to align then to your hips then too. So if you're because if you're sitting here like that off to the side, you might end up sore. And yeah, how does that feel? Do you want to try putting the bolster in between instead? Because is it the knee or the hip? That looks okay. Does that feel okay? Okay, see how you go. Worst case, a lot of the arm stuff that we're doing, I'll show you another position. So let me know if that gets too uncomfortable. But we'll bring our hands up behind our ears for cat-cow, so diamond arms. We tuck that tailbone under and you just catch up when you're ready then there too, Tammy.
Yeah, and just trying to get the knees.
Yeah, you take your time. Out breath to bring the elbows in, and we curl the back so it's kind of like a cat pose and we're getting that stretch. And then we inhale to open up, bringing the chest up and then bringing the elbows back a little. Out breath to come in, rounding those shoulders. In breath to come up. And then we'll do one more, out breath. In breath. And then just sitting on your bum too, Tammy. And then we come down into these oblique pulses. So we bring elbow down to the ground and then inhale to come back up. Exhale to come down. And just for some extra kind of cues here as well, imagine that you're trying to get your hips to your ribs here, because we don't want to arch the back like this. We want to keep, so if you imagine that you're trying to squeeze your ribs towards your chest, but keep yourself upright and then do it, you find that you actually activate some different muscles from it as well. And then we'll come up to the top, release that same leg that we came down to, which works perfectly for you there, Tammy, to come into like a half malasana. Same hand comes down to the inside, other one just up onto your shoulder, and I find squeezing this leg into the arm and then squeezing the arm into the leg means you get this bit of a resistance happening here. You can feel your glutes working. And then arm on the shoulder, or it might feel comfortable to reach the arm up, so we're kind of on this 45 degree. And then on the out breath, we bring this top arm down to come down towards the bottom arm. They don't have to touch exactly, but coming down. And then we come back up again. So inhale to reach up. Exhale to come down. Inhale to come up. Open up that chest space. Out breath to come down. We'll do one more. Inhaling to come up. And exhale to come down. And then we do a reaching malasana. So the opposite angle now, we reach the hands out. Ground this foot down into the ground as we're walking the hands out. And then just as far as, sometimes I find too, wiggling a little bit in this hip might give you a little bit more space. And you might feel comfortable for the chest to come down. And you might end up with a shoulder stretch, maybe glute work, hip opener, lots of options here. And then we walk the hands back in to do that on the other side. So we bend that knee back in. So this is all the stuff, I know it's hard to transition between some of these, but I feel like that's where the mobility work in yoga comes from, getting from one position to another. So take your time to get there because it is worth it. We'll bring the hands in again. We'll use the out breath to come in for cat, cow. Taking your time, using your breath. It's okay if it's not with me. We'll go 3, so I'll go one more. And then pulses. Out breath to go down, in to come up. And even here we can check with that rib to hip connection. We aim for 5 here. We'll go one last one, really squeezing in to come down. And then we release that leg, bring that same hand down with the palm facing out. See how you go. And top arm on shoulder, or if you feel okay, we twist around and then reach that top arm up, but keeping the body nice and engaged, using that strength. You got there, Kathy? Beautiful. Yeah. And then we can bring that arm down to the lower hand, inhaling to come up. Exhaling. We'll go for 3. And then after this last one, we do our reach to that opposite angle. So walking the hands out just as far as they go. You can make any little adjustments. I find having the knee out a bit wider and then grounding and giving some space to that leg helps. And then walking that leg out. Bring the chest down. Feel tight in your lats underneath your armpits, so you might find a nice stretch. And we'll walk the hands back in to come into a supported malasana now. So both legs out, feet on the ground, knees out to the side, hands to heart space. You end up on the ground. That'll work. Oh, because you didn't have blocks underneath you. Oh, yeah, you end up in that position. No, you don't have to. No, exactly. Even if you wanted to come up into the full one though, yeah, and then you can get that extra work. Yeah. And then have hands, yeah, to heart space. Yeah, it does. I feel like these, and you know, you look at this and it looks like gentle movement, but sometimes it's actually quite tricky. Yeah, how does that feel, Karen? Yeah, hard. Like harder work than sitting on the blocks anyway. Yeah. I feel like this is, kids just do this. Have you noticed? They just do this and they grab things, they just play. And we're building that back, aren't we, Kathy? That's what we're working on. And then we're going to bring hands down to the earth, toes towards the front, forward fold here. As we then inhale to lift all the way up. I say it like it's an easy thing, right? Yeah. And then hands to heart space. I think we stop doing these things so our body stops letting us do them. I think that's where, so we're going to grab our blocks now. I'm going to bring mine to the front here, but if you bring yours to the front of your mat, we're just going to come into some thread the needle ones, and this one's good for coordination as well. So we'll start with hands on the blocks because we want a nice straight back here, tucking the chin in towards the chest. Knees can be bent, but it's more important that your chest is down as that heart opener and the straight back, which is beautiful. And then left hand stays on the block. Right arm extends up towards the ceiling as we bend the left knee. And then on the out breath, right arm comes down, threads in between, and then we swap the bend. So that's where the coordination comes in. Swap the bend of the legs. And then we inhale to do that again. So inhale to bend the left leg as the right arm comes up. And then on the exhale, thread the hand through, swapping the bend in the legs. And we'll continue that for a little bit. Inhale to come up. Beautiful. So keeping that length in your back like you're getting pulled through the crown. And then on that out breath, coming on down, swapping the bend of those legs. And then as I come around, I might even be able to give you a little bit of an extra pull to get a little stretch through there with an out breath as well. So inhaling to lift up, exhaling to come down. And if that feels okay for you, Karen. You get that extra little movement. And then we'll finish the one that you're on as we come down to the blocks again. And then inhale to come all the way up to standing. And as we reach up, we'll circle the hands back behind our ears for some familiar moves. Just see how it feels to bend your knees here. And then on the out breath, bring those elbows in again. So it's like that cat-cow. Then we inhale to reach that chest up. And on the out breath, rounding the spine, bringing those elbows in. And then if you want to, straighten your legs as you do it and just see the difference for you. So have legs straight and then try them bent again and see which ones feel more, I guess, fluid with your body. As we do just a couple more. And then we're going to our pulses from here. So as you come back to the open elbows, ribs to hips, and then oblique pulses. Inhaling to come up, exhaling to come down. Arms might be getting a little bit tired now, so we use that breath to stay anyway. We aim for 5. Then that work through the body. And then we release and come back down to do the same on the other side now. So hands to your block, bending the right leg as the left arm comes up now. And then sweeping down to swap, threading through and swapping the bend to the other leg. Taking your time, using your breath. There's a lot to think about here. Using your breath, bringing the arm through, and I'll come around on that out breath and see if we can pull your arm through just a little bit more. I won't pull you over. Yeah, so using that breath, I might grab your hand. That extra little stretch. And then after this next one, we'll bring both hands down to the blocks, inhaling to spinal roll up, circling arms up, bring them in behind your ears, and we'll do our cat-cows again. So exhaling to bring in, inhaling to open up. And then practicing bent knees or straight knees, whichever one suits your body more. And then we come into our pulses, so activate that core as we then bring the elbow down. And so you keep everything up nice and tight, so it just feels like, so you're just kind of squeezing these muscles in on the side, these obliques, which helps with those stabilizing muscles. That looks really good, Kathy. and we aim for 5. Should be roughly about now. Before releasing the hands, feel free to take the extra time to do the extra one. And we come down to like a full fold then. And from here we're going to come down to a baby camel. So we drop the knees down. If you do want a blanket underneath, you won't be here long, but butterfly hands behind, thumbs together, fingers spread at the back of the hips. Squeeze legs together, bum squeezes in as we push the hips forward, lean back, squeeze elbows in together to come into a little baby camel. And then on the out breath, hands to the block, and we do this a couple of times. We have the toes curled over and we come into a forward fold again, walking the feet in and coming down to a fold. So this is more about mobility, getting up, getting down. Knees come down to the ground again. Hands on hips. We'll get kind of more efficient at it as we go to come into our baby camel. So we'll be leaning back, squeezing legs in, squeezing glute muscles in, coming back. Out breath to release, curling those toes up. Forward fold as you walk the feet in. Inhale to come up, drop the knees down. Hands to the back, baby camel. In breath to get tall, out breath. Beautiful, we're going to do one more. Hands come to the block, curl those toes up. Walk the feet in for a forward fold. Inhale to lift a little as we drop the knees down. Hands to the hips. Lift to get tall, exhale to come back. And then hands to the blocks, curl those toes up the last time that we're walking in, and we'll just move those blocks to the side then as we inhale to come all the way out, and we start to build some of this warmth now, leading up to our, already there, leading up towards our bigger poses. So classical sun salutations. Inhaling, arms to come up. Exhaling to come down, hands to the mat as we send the right leg back, knee to the ground. Inhaling, arms up for a low lunge. How does that feel, Kathy? To drop that? Do you want a blanket under there for... Does that feel okay? Take your time to get there, yeah. Palms facing in, and then we'll just lean back a little for a little back bend, a little extra stretch. And then as we breathe out, our hands come down to the mat, but you could have your blocks here as well. Depends on what you need. As we push off that back leg, come into a forward fold. And instead of coming all the way up, we go to the other side. So left leg down, knee down. Inhale, arms up for that low lunge. Little back bend, if you feel like you can. And then sweep the hands forward, push off that back leg to come into a forward fold. And then we inhale to come up to standing. You got it, Tammy?
I did.
Yes. So how do you feel about doing another one? So we'll go again. Inhaling, arms up.
It's painful.
Yeah, you're doing well. Bending down to come down to a forward fold. Left leg back first this time, knee to the ground. Inhaling up for that low lunge. Little back bend if that feels appropriate. Out breath to lean forward, hands either side of the foot as you push off that back one to come into a forward fold. And then right leg comes back, knee to the ground. Inhale, arms up for low lunge. Yeah. Little back bend. And then out breath to come down, pushing off that back leg for a forward fold. And then inhaling to come all the way up and hands to heart space. Now for the big flow. Is that what you're ready for? Well, inhale the arms to come up. Exhale to come down to the mat. We're coming into downward facing dog here. So stepping the feet back for downward dog. Grounding the hands, spreading the fingers out, reaching seat bones up. If you've done this plenty of times now, some things that you can work on is getting the hips higher and possibly getting the heels down lower without sacrificing the height of your hips. Now we're then going to walk our toes forward with as straight legs as you're able to. So we call it tippy toe. Tippy toe, all the way up to the top. But then once you get here, hopefully that shirt falling down, hands to heart space as we lean onto the right leg and come into what's called pelican. So it's just bending this left leg up. We're in little pelican pose. And then, well done, and then drop it back behind you. But if you need little spots in between. So the idea is pelican, to a warrior kind of pose. But if it looks like pelican ... warrior pose, that's okay too. Shall we try that again? Okay, let's do that again. So, what have we done? Oh yeah, we've come tippy toe. So we've got the hands to ground, so in a forward fold. Hands to heart space. Lean into the right leg. Bend the left knee to come into pelican. Now, if you would like blocks underneath you here too, by the way, you can always have blocks. Then we send the foot back to come into a warrior version as we send the arms back, chest forward, because we're doing our chest openers. Humble warrior. No, sorry, this one's charging warrior. And then we inhale to lift up into flying warrior, so arms extend up, and we pivot towards the back of the mat. And as you do that, left leg or foot faces the back, and we bend it like we're doing this extended side lunge, but arms come into diamond behind your ears. And then we come into our pulses from here. Yeah, beautiful adjustment, Karen, where your shoulders are open to that front, squeezing those, those facing this way, and then coming down to the side. So you're doing these oblique pulses that we've been doing. So about 5 of those. Yep, that looks lovely. Not moving much of your body except just that. Beautiful, Kathy. So about 5. And then we open up to our flying warrior, again, to come towards the front of the mat now. Reaching the hands back, bending into that right leg, and we grab hold of our hands behind our back if we can, or your arms can be out like this. And then we send them back, opening up that chest space, pivoting that back foot around, and then leaning forward. So we feel this one. This one's humble warrior, bowing kind of warrior. And then we have some options. We're coming up into aeroplane here. These 2 poses are the ones we're working on with this series. Pushing off that back leg to come into bound aeroplane. Remember, lots of dots in between. Tucking chin in towards chest, extending the head long. If you need to let go, feel free. Got it? But then the next one is bending that left leg. You don't have to hold on to it yet. Reaching that hand towards it is enough to come into dancer. Or holding onto the foot, straightening the leg, leaning forward. How to go? Remembering this is the 4th time that we've done this, so this is the first time you've come to this one to practice that, so that self-compassion is really important. How do we go? Cool, getting it? So that transition is the one that we work on. So coming from here, the idea is we'll do another little practice. Coming from here with those arms bound, pushing into that front leg to come up. Ideally, we want to work towards no dots, but if you need them for now. And then a strong transition to grab hold of that leg and open up without much movement is what we work towards. That's it. And that undulation of your foot is what helps you stay there. Yeah, and I feel like sometimes that's what throws you out. Because I feel like sometimes if you have to like throw your leg up, that's what's put you out, isn't it? So if you're able to, in this position, even extend that arm back and don't grab hold of it, you can practice this. This is just as good a version of that pose.
It's what I was just trying to do.
Exactly. Beautiful, Karen. Yeah, and then you get to do it with the control. Yeah. Okay, so from there, we go from dancer, back leg comes down, left hand comes to the inside, and you could have a block here, by the way, on the inside, sending that back heel away from you as we rotate either hand on hip or lifting that top arm up. So nice long body, reaching that top arm up, other way. Yes, that's it. Beautiful. And then both hands to the ground, either side of that front leg. Now, if you would like, you can drop the knee down straight away, especially if this is your first time doing this. You can drop the knee down to come into like a knee plank, or if you're after a bit of extra fun today, full plank, bending elbows to come down to the ground. And one last pose for this round. Grabbing hold of the hands either behind your back or sending them back, whatever your flexibility in your shoulders allows you to do. And then on an in-breath, lifting chest, lifting feet, locust. Yeah, it's a hard one. And we inhale to come up, and then exhale to come down. Crocodile pose, one hand on top of the other, forehead on top. That is the height of what we're doing, but we've done one side. We need to do the other one. So take a couple of breaths here, knowing that there's more fun to come. Sometimes we appreciate the rest even more then, right? Let's do it. In breath to come up, hands to the mat. And I find sometimes pushing back into child's pose is a nice way to get off the ground before downward dog. So child's pose, curls those toes up, and then use the core to lift your seat bones up high. Breathing gently here. Maybe a little walking the dog, stretching out those legs. And then tippy toe, straight legs, tippy toe up towards the front of the mat. Hands to heart space or on your blocks if you're using your blocks. As we lean over to the left side for pelican. Lifting that right leg up, so just bending the knee, and if possible, sending it back behind. And then releasing the hands, that's it. Either side. You can pop the foot down if you like, Kathy, because that's... Yeah, so that little pelican pose is just like a transition. So pelican, and then down. You don't have to hold it as long as the next one. So arms send back, chin towards chest as we charge forward. And then we inhale to lift the arms up tall for our flying warrior. Pivoting towards the back of the mat, bending the right leg, hands behind ears for diamond as we come into our oblique pulses towards the back now. So holding that core strong by rib to hip connection there, avoiding arching that back, keeping the chest out long, that's it, Kathy, and then out breath to come down to do the pulses. Go the other way, Kathy, towards your bent leg. Yeah, exactly, because then you'll get the other side now. And then how does it feel for that knee and that foot to like rotate a little bit? Yeah, not quite so much. Yeah, because that'll bring that hip around then. Yeah, beautiful. That looks good, Kara. Yes, how many? Oh, sorry, have we done these? Like 100? Okay, so we'll come up into flying warrior again now. As arms extend up, we move towards the front of the mat, so pivoting, bringing those hands behind as we stretch them out for bound or humble warrior, as the chest and the head comes down, but we tuck the chin in, lead with our crown, and then we transition to our balance poses. So pushing off that back leg, bound aeroplane, hold for a few breaths before coming into dancer pose. That's it, Vic. And then you work on straightening that bottom leg, lean more forward, yeah. Yes, there it is. Look how strong that looks. Yeah, and then bring yourself, I was going to say, and then bring it, when you feel like you're doing that, try to bring yourself down with your power instead of your body throwing you out. And that feels like you've finished the pose then. Yeah. Awesome. How'd you go? Yeah. Is that a better side? Not as good side? Yeah. I do like it when we get our strong ones. Hey, that was good. You look very concentrated then too. Yeah, that's what we want. So if we've done, we'll do that transition again because we won't have time to do the whole round again like we often do. So we'll come into that, bringing the hands behind the back, stretching those arms out long, leaning into our humble warrior, open up that chest space, even seeing how high you can get those arms too for a stretch. And then when you're ready, pushing off that back foot to come into aeroplane. Hold for a few breaths before making sure that you're stable before coming into your dancer pose. Yep. But it was nice, right? Like you're there for that little bit. And then we drop that back leg down gently, if we can. That's it, Vic, with that beautiful control, like a little fairy foot. I love that. And then right hand on the inside then, or on a block, if you liked the block before. Pivoting around to the left side with a hand on the hip or reaching up tall towards the ceiling to get that lovely stretch. And then both hands down to the ground. Either drop the knee or keep up tall in your plank. And then weight comes over the front of the body as we bend the elbows to come down. And we come into our last locust pose. Hands behind, grabbing hold if you can. Taking a breath, tucking that chin in, reaching the head long, and then on an in-breath, lift. Lift, squeeze glutes, squeeze legs in, squeeze chest, shoulders back and down, and then out breath. Crocodile pose. Well done, Kathy. I know, that's a tough one to finish in. That locust pose though is so great for shoulders, chest opening, glutes, legs. If you're after a little pose to do the lot, that's a good one to do. You can probably feel it. And then we'll inhale to come up. You can push through those hands, and we're going to come into a restorative fish pose because it is one of those openers. Now, if you like the blocks, which we've done before, where you have one block, where you have your blocks like this, one goes under your shoulder blade, the other is your head. If you guys have been here, you might know what I'm talking about with that one. The other one though, that can be a little bit more lovely, that's not so harsh on your back, is if you have your bolster here. Arms come out over the top, and we bring the chin up towards the ceiling. Like this one, I feel like it feels a little bit more supportive, I guess. But if you're after like a challenge, the blocks can be a good one to get you into the more specific pose, I guess. So yeah, and then arms up the top, so it might feel, to bring that down a little bit. There we go. And then, that one underneath your head. Does that feel okay? And how's the arms to the side instead of up, like out here? Does that feel okay? Because that is a beautiful chest open. Yeah, ponytails are the worst, I feel like, in yoga. That looks lovely, Karen. Yeah. Awesome. How would it feel, Tammy, to have your arms out to the side? Is that okay? Did I say that? Yeah, no. Yeah. Out, I meant. Sorry. Only that opens up that chest space more. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. We use our nice deep in breaths here and the long, slow release out breaths to allow your body to rest down, hopefully feeling that openness through your chest as an extension of the work that we've been doing. And maybe in this moment, you notice your thoughts towards yourself and your abilities in relation to the session today. And then we'll just do a couple of stretches before our official Shavasana. If you like that bolster underneath you there, feel free to keep it there because we'll just move the legs, but feel free to move it if during these stretches that it feels uncomfortable. So if you just bend the knees and bring the feet to the mat, walk the feet out towards the outer edges of your mat, and we'll do windscreen wipers. So just allowing knees to fall down to one side on the out breath, and allow your body to move with it if it needs to. With that block, those blocks and things underneath, you might find that it's a bit pointy in some spots. Out breath to go down to the other side. We use the in breath to lift, out breath to come down. And if you feel like one hip needs a little bit more of a stretch, when you come down to that outside, you might bring the outside foot on top of the knee on the inside to give you that extra stretch. If you go the other way, Karen. So if you go to that side and then this foot on top of that one. Yeah. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? And if there's one particular side that would like more loving than another, then you don't need to make it equal sides. But use the in-breath to lift up again, the out-breath to go deeper. And then we extend the right leg out long while bending the left leg and then allowing it to roll over the body to the other side. And because we want it to be relaxing, finding a way for your foot to stay on the ground. It can be on the inside of your leg, on the outside of the other leg as you roll onto your hips. But we want to keep that chest open, so arms extended out and that chest open. If it feels too tight, just make some adjustments with your arms. Maybe bring them down a little lower. If you notice some particular places that it's pulling today, they could be some spots to work on. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Inhaling to come up, stretching out the left, bringing the right foot over, that's right. And then keeping that chest open. And then we gently inhale to come back to the center. Maybe pull the knees into the chest if that feels nice, or any other position. If you sometimes ask your body what it needs, you might find that it just sometimes moves into something that feels good. It's a nice practice to listen to your body than just this lady at the front. And then we find Shavasana. Feel free to experiment with any other new positions in Shavasana. But maybe if you just want to lay down on your back with no props, if you want to be on your tummy or on your side, there's lots of options. And I'll just go and get our eye pillows for the full experience. And you may start to cool down now, so a little blanket would be lovely. I'll make sure it reaches your toes. We can't have your toes hanging out. No worries. No worries. So deep breaths in, long breaths out. As we remind ourselves that one of the keys to self-compassion that we can share with others, and as an extension, the world, is rest. Deep rest builds space in our minds to exist beyond just surviving. We can find these small moments in our day to rest completely. We have the energy and the ability to do things that are good for us and therefore good for others. So we take the time to do it now, giving ourselves permission to relax completely, knowing that this time is just for you. So starting down at your toes and your feet, and we let them rest on an out breath. Sliding up towards the legs. Inhale to notice. Exhale to feel heavy and relaxed. Inhale to come up to glutes, pelvic floor. Exhale to release. Breathing in for lower back and abdominals. Out breath to feel heavy and relaxed. Inhale to chest and upper back. Taking particular note of the muscles and the work that we did there. The opening of that heart space. Noticing if it feels any different. And on the out breath, allowing all the air to leave the body as you sink down into your mat. And then bring the attention to the arms. from the shoulders down to the fingertips. As you notice each part, relaxing it with the out breath, the shoulders, the upper arms, the lower arms, the hands, the fingers. So both limbs are heavy and relaxed. And notice your face, allow your jaw to relax. Soften your forehead, your temples and space between the eyebrows, allowing the worry lines, concentration lines to smooth out. As your face becomes more open, and then the out breath to relax the whole body down. And we stay here, protecting our calm that we've worked for. Noticing stuff that comes up, but imagine it muffled on the outside. It's there, but it doesn't impact your calm. You're not attached to it. It can't affect you. But if every now and again it does, it takes your attention away, that's okay. Just come back to your breath and your body. You can just start to take a nice deep breath in with a long, slow release breath out. As you start to move the smaller parts of your body, and then maybe move on to the larger ones as you stretch. And when you feel ready, gently take your time to come up to a comfortable seated position. Allowing yourself to do any of the moves that your body might like. Your forward folds, neck and head stretches can be nice. Twists, stillness. I'll invite you to join me in our chant, our 3 Oms, 3 Shantis. You're always welcome to just listen. If you'd like to relax your body, and then start with an in-breath. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And we'll inhale the arms to come up. Exhale down to heart space. May you be kind to yourself and others.